This is Stuff You Like. You can call me Ursa. I'm outside in the fresh air for some reason. And let's kick off the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2 with an admission I don't want to have to make. I didn't really like Thor: The Dark World that much. I mean, it was alright, but... What makes this odder, and possibly worse, is that I really liked Thor and the flavour that they've given the Thor movies. And there's a lot to like in a bits and pieces sense about The Dark World.
Hello? I accept your surrender.
But that's just it, it's just bits and pieces. The plot goeth thusly. Jane is sad and not sciencing, but then there's a box and a magic gravity thing, and suddenly she is infected with the ether and becomes a MacGuffin. Thor comes back to get her. Loki is sad. There are some dark elves and they're trying to take over the world and such, and so they need the ether, which is now in Jane. The dark elves attack Asgard. Oh yeah, in the middle somewhere, Frigga dies. Odin argues with Thor. Thor breaks Loki out of jail to help him save Jane.
Now they're firing at us.
Yeah, thank you for the commentary, Loki. It's not at all distracting.
Malekith draws the ether out of Jane, at which point she becomes useful again. They save the world with science and magic and stuff. I wanted so hard to love it. I laughed at almost all the jokes and at Loki's ridiculous hair. Asgard was beautiful, all scenes with Idris Elba were a joy. I loved the clever colour coding with Darcy, Jane, Thor and Ian in heroic red in varying degrees. But... it just didn't hang together. There was no coherence. Thor's thing has always been that Earth is funny and quirky and Asgard is Shakespearean and serious, but also kind of slapstick at the same time. And the kind of epically serious way that they talk on Asgard is a nice sort of counterpoint to the more laid-back Midgardians. And they managed to balance that quite well in the first movie, but I hate to use the phrase trying too hard, because I would rather people try too hard than not at all, but it felt like they were trying very, very hard to cram in the funny at every possible opportunity, and that leads to stuff like Erik Selvig. And that was just mean. Thor was funnier and for the most part more light-hearted than the other Avengers movies, because while you have Loki and his, pain, Thor is probably the most emotionally and mentally stable Avenger. And so making a joke out of the fact that Erik Selvig, one of Thor's first friends on Earth, is broken just seems kind of cruel. The reason the Thor movies can indulge in more slapstick is because Thor is the most emotionally stable Avenger. He is the only one who's not a complete hot mess of emotional and psychological issues. I mean, the stuff with Loki aside, he's really a very balanced individual, even if he is a demigod. Thor having cultural misunderstandings is funny. He wears a cape. He's a demigod, so him being in physical danger can still be made funny because it's very, very hard to hurt him. He hangs up Mjolnir on a coat rack. But while Avengers and Captain America the Winter Soldier and Iron Man 3 make a point of acknowledging that pain and that trauma, Thor 2 makes a joke out of it.
Simple. Any questions?
Yeah, can I have my shoe back?
Anyway, Loki, I have to say, is actually kind of a bright spot in the movie, mostly, I think, because they don't horribly overuse him. And I don't even like Loki, but his sections and his motivation and his arc all make sense in a oh no, what's he doing kind of way.
Hey, wanna have a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism?
He is sharp and broken and devious and scheming, and that is what we have come to expect from him, and so it's all good. But I never really felt a sense of urgency about Malekith or the Dark Elves or any of that until the very end. Even after they kill Frigga, even after Asgard is a wreck, I still wasn't caught up in the movie. I wasn't being carried along by it, and in your light popcorn fare, that's kind of a serious sin. I guess the thing that gets me the most is the waste of what could have been, because I think there was something really interesting there about Odin and Thor and Loki and grief and how that makes you a terrible person. And I love Thor and I love the tone and I love the characters, and I guess I was just hoping that maybe the serious moments in the film could have come from an actual exploration of some issues rather than mooning over boys or mooning over girls. Or, while it would have been going against the general trend of Phase 2, they could have gone lighter and softer and funnier and more slapstick for the second Thor movie. Or they could have gone super serious, which would have been more in keeping with the general theme of MCU Phase 2. Especially not if they went serious and it turned out anything like Iron Man 3, because I thought that one was super interesting. And so we're going to talk about it next time. See you then! If you were wondering why I'm outside getting fresh air and stuff, my last episode kind of sounded like I was in a cave. And the reason for this is that my new house is not particularly acoustically brilliant. Also, when I filmed in it, it only had 3 pieces of furniture in the room, so I'm hoping once we get all of the furniture and the rugs and stuff in, then it will stop sounding like I'm in a cave. Stranger things have happened, right? Also, thanks to my patrons, this episode was the first one to be edited on newer editing software than iMovie 2011. Thanks, guys.